If you're looking for the experience of a delicious cocktail, but without the effects of alcohol, try Kensho Cocktails by Reserve. These ready-to-drink beverages are made with premium botanicals and natural citruses and spices, giving them the flavor and finish of high-end mixology. Garnish with limes, cherries, or raspberries to complete a bold and sophisticated cocktail, all without the accompanying hangover. Go to rsrvcollective.com and use promo code Cinemavino, and you'll receive 30% off everything on that purchase. It's the biggest discount you can get, and it's exclusive to our promo code. Once again, that's rsrvcollective.com, promo code Cinemavino. And welcome back to Cinemavino. It's good to have you guys here with us. We got Sean Jordan.
Hi.
Travis Bud.
Hey, guys.
T-Bud. My name's Todd Wofford.
Do they call you? Do they call you T-Bud?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First you've heard of?
Buddles?
T-Bud.
Brav's Tud.
Bud man.
So we're wrapping up our Star Wars trilogy, our OG trilogy with Return of the Jedi.
Start it over.
I know. It's the wine. I'm going to blame it on the wine.
T-Bud, clap us in.
Yeah. Okay.
I was kidding.
No,
Just
I was
keep
really
going.
kidding. Keep going.
Okay.
You're doing great, boo-boo.
So we're going to do Return of the Jedi, and we're going to do a Malbec with this particular movie.
Stick it out, blow on it, and stick it back.
I just we did the other movies for like weather related things, and so
Not a lot of weather in Jedi.
so yeah. So A New Hope, we did dry weather for Tatooine. We did a dry, refreshing white wine. Then for Empire Strikes Back, we did a big bold red for Hoth. You know, cold weather, something that keeps you warm. For this one, I went with something that's kind of earthy, to fit the Forest Moon of Endor, kind of a forest theme. So Malbecs can be very earthy. They can have even kind of a soil mushroomy taste to them. I've heard some people use umami to describe that, like kind of a mushroomy flavor.
I like an umami.
Yeah, you'll get some of that especially from Argentina, the Mendoza region. You can get a good earthy Malbec.
I do like Malbecs.
So, if you're looking for something to enjoy with Return of the Jedi, I would recommend a Malbec.
I don't get a lot of earthiness out of this, but it is really mellow.
It is. It's definitely a fuller body. It has a lot more fruit than some of the other ones.
I mean, I'm not trying to chew it, but
yeah,
14.4%. The bottle.
That's a sneaky 14.
Yeah.
This bottle
That's my nickname in high
doesn't
school.
even feel very
Sneaky 14.
Mhm.
Am I wrong?
No, it's a light
Bottle
a
is
light
that
bottle.
very light.
Yeah.
A lot of glass
I hadn't
or something.
seen
No.
The look and feel of it, it's a very typical like Malbec. It's a very deep purple. They have a very deep inky.
Smoke on the water.
I saw them
Exactly.
live, actually.
I bet that was a great show.
The singer was very high.
Yeah,
Very high.
as you would have to be.
What's the price point of this bottle?
About $20.
Ooh.
So not bad, especially
For now.
yeah, especially in this recession.
This one tastes like 32.
In this economy?
Yeah.
That's about to shoot up, buddy.
Yeah. So get this while you can at your local wine store. But yeah, this is a good, it's made by Paul Hobbs, who's a famous American winemaker. But yeah, he obviously took his talents down to South America for a bit and helped make this Foligno Malbec.
Foligno.
Yeah. It's quite good. I think it's like I said, it's not as earthy. It doesn't fit the typical Malbec.
Does it translate to cat?
I don't know. Good question.
Fellini?
Foligno?
I don't think that.
Feline.
Yeah. Gatto. Is Gatto?
Feline.
Yeah, gato is.
That could be feline. You're right. That could be.
Some languages have multiple words for that.
Yeah.
Like English.
Fine.
Yeah. I know English is that way. I'm not aware of most of the additional. So I'm a one word kind of a guy. I'm monogamous with my definition.
This is Klingon for Ewokese.
Gabla.
Klingon? For Ewokese?
Or Ewokese. Oddly, they're the same language. There's different, universe.
Different dialects.
And different keys. Yeah. So this movie
tastes like Endor.
Yeah, it does.
Tastes like Wicked's loincloth.
So this was released May 25th, 1983.
Originally called Revenge of the Jedi.
It was.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Jedi?
It was. So the story goes with that.
Aggressive.
We'll get to that in just one sec. So this grossed just over $480 million against a $40 million budget. This was the highest grossing film.
$40 million budget?
Yeah.
Yikes.
So this was the highest grossing film of that year. As with all the other movies of the trilogy, they were the highest.
Is this 86?
83.
83?
And co-writer Lawrence Kasdan and director Richard Marquand titled the film Revenge of the Jedi until George Lucas stepped in later and insisted that revenge was not the Jedi way. So, but there are promotional materials, including posters out there that say Revenge of the Jedi. And if you could find one of those, they're worth a lot of money. So, to discourage spies and rumors on set, this went under the working title of Blue Harvest. So to help discourage, and also to keep vendors from ripping them off when they found out this was a Star Wars movie. So this was under the code name of Blue Harvest.
Blue Harvest.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be like a fake horror movie. So this will be followed obviously by 3 prequels, 3 sequels, and spinoffs in virtually every other medium. A little background info on this movie. Harrison Ford was not under contract to come back to this movie, which is why he was frozen in carbonite at the end of the last movie.
They're like, maybe we don't use him.
Or maybe we can't get him.
Yeah.
And so the original draft of this script was written without Han Solo in it. And once Harrison Ford signed on, they reworked it with him in the script.
I was going to say, he kind of plays like a non-impactful role.
Yeah. They even gave like the Death Star attack to Lando, which if Han Solo's not in the movie, it makes sense.
How does the whole Jabba the Hutt scene work if they're not trying to save Lando, though?
Or save Han.
Save Han, yeah. Sorry, that's like the whole first act is them
I
trying
would
to save
imagine
Han.
that scene was probably dramatically different.
To guess.
And I remember there was even a draft of it where Han Solo was killed. So,
Jeez.
yeah. Yeah, and there was a scene original in the earlier versions of it where the Millennium Falcon was destroyed in the Death Star.
Why is Harrison Ford such an asshole?
I kind of see what he's saying, where it's
He's
like
handsome.
he
Look
is.
at him.
He's
He's a scruffy looking nerf herder. That's what he is.
Who's scruffy looking?
he's a rogue. But his original take was like it would give the movie a little more stakes if something happens to him, and it would give the other characters, it would give it more drama.
Well, he got his wish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did that. Yeah, I'm sure that was probably one of his things for coming back for.
So then who porks
Force
Leia?
Awakens.
Lando?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'm sure Han would be fine with that.
Cool.
I've seen plenty of drafts that say that that's what happens.
Ooh.
Yeah,
By drafts, I mean fanfics.
that's my headcanon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leia Calrissian.
Can we talk about how Lando calls him Han? Like he's the only one who just Han.
Yeah.
Doesn't get addressed.
Yeah.
Just call him something completely different.
Why not? Well, it's like in the Superman, doesn't Marlon Brando mispronounce like the Krypton? Doesn't he mispronounce the planet Krypton?
Marlon Brando
It's
does a lot
Krypton
of
or
things.
Krypton. Either or.
But yeah, I think he's the only one that I hear in that movie saying Krypton.
Krypton something.
Far from the way of the Krypton sun. Everybody else is Krypton. So, but again, it's like, what are they going to say? I'll say however I want. Thank you very much. Now, where's my turkey sandwich? It's like, no.
Slap some more lines on this baby's diaper.
Put more lines on the baby.
Which that would be fun to say on a film set. Think about that.
Slap more lines on this baby's diaper.
Yeah, think about it. You're having a good day if you have to say that.
It almost reminds me of Bill Murray and Scrooge. Like, we can't staple these antlers to these dormice. We're like, just staple these lines to this baby's forehead.
Oh, man. So after Empire Strikes Back went way over budget, behind schedule, changes were made to this film. Lead producer Gary Kurtz, who produced Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, stepped aside and was replaced by one of George Lucas's old film school buddies, Howard Kazanjian, who was an executive producer on the next movie we were going to do, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Gross.
The Ewoks were originally meant to be Wookiees, and the planet was originally meant to be Kashyyyk, but they changed it to Ewoks, presumably because it sell more Happy Meals, sell more toys.
Plus, child actors, you can pay them less.
Exactly. That's the spirit.
How do you think they got that budget so down?
Exactly.
I heard that George Lucas approached David Lynch to actually direct this. And David Lynch said, no, you need to do this in your own voice. Like, this should be your vision of Star Wars.
And I can't see it as a David Lynch movie.
Oh, absolutely not.
It would have been fascinating, though.
Well, the thing is, what did he go on to do almost immediately after this? Dune, which Frank Herbert beefed with George Lucas because he said Star Wars was a ripoff of Dune. George Lucas's response was, Dune and Star Wars are both a ripoff of the Foundation.
Yeah. I think Dune suits Lynch a lot more than Star Wars does.
Yeah.
In theory, I didn't much care for that version of Dune, but
I didn't either. But I just think it's interesting that he was kind of tied to two properties.
Mm-hmm. And Spielberg was also approached to direct this, but he was tied up, I want to say, with still doing Poltergeist. He had 2 movies out in 82 when this was being filmed, so he was probably too busy.
He was a busy man in that day.
Yeah. So original director of Empire Strikes Back, Irvin Kershner, was replaced by Richard Marquand, who was a relatively new director. And the rumors are that a lot like Spielberg on Poltergeist, George Lucas was very hands-on with this movie and was basically like a de facto director. So that's what I got for background info. So for each of you guys, I'll ask you this question. What was your initial impression of this movie? When did you first watch it? How's it hold up now? Trav, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I just remember this again. I only ever had Empire and Return on VHS as a kid, and I just knew them as blue lightsaber movie and green lightsaber movie.
There you go.
And I'm like, oh, I like the green one because there's Jabba the Hutt. There's the Rancor, which is fucking badass.
Yeah. Real litmus test of who you favored as a child.
Also, the greatest like side character ever is the Rancor like Wrangler.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
Big burly man just crying over his pet Rancor.
I was like, your nipples are out, dude. Why are you crying?
I remember Roger Ebert loved that detail of the movie. Like he loved this movie. This movie does all the weird little things that you notice. Like this caretaker, it lingers for a long time on this caretaker crying. This random note throwaway character.
Yeah, because you're sitting there the whole time. You're like, oh God, I don't want Luke to die. Fucking kill that thing. Yeah. And he does. And you're like, dude, that was somebody's dog. And then you're like, well, now I feel like shit.
Raise that Rancor from a puppy.
Yeah.
I like see that guy's like face in my dreams. It haunts me.
He's wearing that goofy hat.
Yeah.
I know. My next Halloween.
No shirt. Oh my God. You would crush as that
nipples
guy.
out.
Yeah.
Nipples out crying is
if you guys want to be a Rancor.
if you be nipples out crying, I will be your Rancor.
I will be your Rancor, baby. Yeah. So I wanted the one where Luke was at his peak Jedi powers with the super cool robot hand, the brand new green lightsaber he constructed, the one where he beats the shit out of Vader and wins. But yeah, that I loved. Let's see, was this the one where Boba Fett, his ship isn't really in this one much, right?
No.
It was in the last one.
Yes.
We didn't mention that. They tried to rename it Fire Spray.
I thought we did talk about
but
it.
It's fucking Slave One. And in this movie, another thing Disney's trying to erase, the Slave Leia outfit.
Yeah.
Which is gorgeous.
And supposedly that came about because Carrie Fisher kind of complained about how frumpy her outfits were in the first 2 films.
They're like, I'll give you frumpy.
And so she got a skimpy metal bikini.
Which she hated, right? Didn't she say it was like the costume from hell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and that thing, I mean, obviously is very, very revealing. So
I know.
And a lot of...
I was a child when I saw this movie.
A lot of boys went through puberty.
That's the outfit that launched 1,000 pubes.
Hey, look at Slave Leia.
Yeah.
a lot of deposits at Spank Bank.
1,000 hormones.
Yes.
Crying out at once.
And they're suddenly silent.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole, the big fight with, you think, Boba Fett is going to do like crazy things, but
I can't think of a single line that we quote more than that one.
No.
He shows up
this movie
and gets taken out fairly easy, but he gets to use from his van braces, his wrist mounted whipcord launcher. Yeah. I loved Leia getting to kill Jabba, getting to choke him out, saving Han, and, blowing up the second Death Star. Because if there's anything I've learned watching the movie Contact with Jodie Foster is where they build the one big thing to where they can go into outer space, and they're like, why build one when you can build two? I'm like, oh my God, of course.
Yeah.
Do you think the second Death Star was under construction when they built the first?
Of course.
They were like, all right, first one's out. Let's build a second one. Let's get it going.
Yeah. Let's streamline this bitch.
You got to kind of structure your, yeah.
You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Sure. Yeah.
Very smart of the Empire.
And let's make sure it can be easily blown up again by
That's true.
There is
Let's not
a
fix
shield.
Well, see, that's why they had already started the construction before, because if the other one had been done.
Make second blueprints?
When it's like, let's put a shield up, let's make sure it can be taken down by a bunch of teddy bears.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, there was a plan. I don't appreciate your belittling of the plan.
And I love the ATSTs and the speeder bikes and the forest, like that chase sequence.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
The ATSTs also in the forest setting, I love. And the Ewoks fighting it. I love the primitive weapons being used to take out like cutting line tech of the Empire. That just throw all your money you can at shit. Never mind, we're going to fuck it up with 2 logs, just sandwiching your homeboy's head.
Surprisingly flimsy.
Yeah.
So great.
Well,
they cut corners.
You see some of that even in Empire Strikes Back, where they take down the AT-ATs with the like base
toe cables.
Yeah, wrapping them around their feet and tripping them. But yeah, so that kind of establishes.
Stop making things with really long legs.
Yeah.
Massive. Massive legs.
Just hover, dude. You got the technology.
You can hover.
Yeah.
Do it.
Exactly. I mean, you got to think they would do those AT-ATs and ATSTs for the intimidation factor or something, like a monster stomping into the battle,
It's very much reminiscent of the tripods from War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Can I just say, anyone who thinks it's pronounced AT-AT, what the hell do you call an ATST?
I call them ATSTs.
An ATS? Did you see those ATS?
I like saying AT-ATs.
I don't. AT-AT.
AT-AT, AT-AT.
Which I know that in World War II, the British referred to anti-aircraft, any sort of anti-aircraft device was ACAC. Because I remember that from the Richard Burton in The Longest Day. It was like, we were shot down over the channel by ACAC. So there's that.
That sounds like Mars Attacks. Yes. So that was my take. Like, as a kid, Return of the Jedi was my favorite. That was Luke at his best. He had a green lightsaber, so I knew we were A-okay.
So what would young Travis give it? What would modern Travis?
I mean, young Travis is like, that's TM. I think I gave Empire a 10. So these other ones I have to give like 9.5. I have to have a bump up from there. Like, nowadays, the Ewoks, they don't trip my trigger the way they did as a kid.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Wicked's best friend.
And I'll jazz your bananas.
Frost your cupcakes.
I'm not going to add anything.
And so I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you this question too. What order, let's say, for example, my son, who he watched part of this movie with me and really enjoyed it. What order would you introduce something like, say, your niece? What episode order of this entire franchise would you go in?
Yeah. Real world chronological order.
4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. They got to, because if they start 1, 2, 3 and then they see that weird CGI that is better, and then they go back and watch the other ones, it seems disjointed.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, and the power sets are completely incongruous from the first 3 to the second 3. Like, if you go from Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope, and you're like, oh, cool, he can sort of act like a monster. It's Obi-Wan. I've seen Obi-Wan like destroy entire like peoples.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. He killed General Grievous.
Yeah, I know he has a power set. Like, he can do some stuff.
Because otherwise they'll be like, yeah, the 4th movie got really weird because it was so old. And you're like, no.
Yeah, you got to
start here.
Yeah.
And then you can go back and watch. Because otherwise, I don't know, you just get really... it can tug on your heartstrings in a different way if you've grown up with Anakin and then you see him turn into Vader and then he dies. But it gives you a completely different thing. If the first thing you see is Vader and he's bad and he's just super fucking cool. And then you see how he dies, and then you learn who he is, and then you go back to see how he starts.
Yeah.
It's a whole different journey.
And I think that also the reveal that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father is one of the coolest plot twists in all of movies.
All time great.
And if you start with the prequels, that officially ruins that for you.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So I want to
also the Leia sister reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Also a big reveal, not as big as honestly, this kid's entire parentage is just questionable.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, if you watch the prequels, they end with the Harry Potter scene of the twins getting handed off to, aunts and uncles or whatever. So I agree completely that
we've always wanted a daughter.
Yeah.
But not a son? Dick.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
And no, I don't think any parent really thinks that way for their first kid. I mean, no parent I've ever known is well, we really hope it's a blah, blah, blah. It's you get what you get,
It always seemed to me that I kept thinking that the last part of the trilogy, somebody would be like, no, there is another. Or man, Vader got busy with somebody.
Yeah.
We never know. We don't know where his penis has been for this whole time. Is it still working?
Is it still working?
Did it get burned off?
It's more machine now, man.
Did he find some Twi'lek and was like, hey, I just need to, blow off a little force? And yeah.
Vader, you dog, you.
So
still got that dog in him.
Which the teenage version of me watching these original movies was wondering, did Vader, helmet and everything, have sex with somebody? How did the logistics of that work?
Helmet for sure.
Oh, he'd have to keep his rebreather on.
I say that brings new meaning to heavy breathing.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't strike me as an active lover.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm glad you thought about that.
He does have the Force, though.
Mm-hmm.
True?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably true.
And he does like choking.
But can he do light choking? Could he ever be that guy?
Yeah.
He can only do dark choking.
No. So, I mean, food for thought,
No, now I'm thinking of Palpatine and Force Lightning.
And his cuck chair.
What else can that do?
It's like one of those little, stingers.
Just a little
shock. Just for funsies.
So, okay, so you're at a 9.
9.12 now. 9.5.
Yeah, you're 6 to midnight. So what would your score be?
Kid me, this was a 10. Easy 10. This, like you said, this had all the markings of a great kid movie. You got a strong hero, you got cute bears, you got all the toys that you can have. I had a speeder, a little speeder guy with a stormtrooper on top. Mm-hmm. I had an ATST. I think I had, I don't know how many lightsabers I had as a kid, but it was definitely a green one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This, as a kid, this one was my favorite. And going back and rewatching it now, I've always kind of held that Jedi is the weakest of the three. Mm-hmm. So I would go Empire, New Hope, Jedi. But I kind of put New Hope and Jedi real close to each other. And going back and rewatching the trilogy now, I kind of put them level. Because Jedi is a beautiful film.
It is.
It's aesthetically looks the best of all three.
Yeah.
And I know Empire is the best story. It's the best, music and visuals, and it's great. Jedi has a lot of really great visuals.
It does.
I think and it's hard to kind of parse out all the bad visuals that got added in later on, the musical numbers.
Not as many. And like you say, the ones that got added stand out like sore thumbs.
Yeah, this has the most out of place CGI just pasted in. Because especially Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
But some of the shots of the not the Death Star, but whenever they have the Emperor come in and you have those high wide shots of the hangar bay, and you just see all the troops,
hundreds of troops, thousands,
everything's shiny and everything's just very Empire and clean. Mm-hmm. That is gorgeous.
Yeah. I
think the filmography of it is great.
Yeah.
The story is kind of lacking, and you get a lot of those kid elements that feels kind of I don't know. It feels like a very much of the time, kids movie, mm-hmm. but it's aesthetically amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever really appreciated that as a kid. I don't think those elements ever stood out to me. It was always just Empire and Rancor and green lightsaber and mm-hmm. speeders.
Mm-hmm. Gold bikini.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Boba Fett. I don't know. I would give this, I think I gave A New Hope an 8. And I think I would give this an 8 as well. Empire was a 10. I could revise those both up to 9s, but I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah. Follow your heart.
Like I said, kid me, this is an easy 10. I mean, nostalgia 10.
Yeah.
I could watch this movie with my eyes closed and follow everything that's going on. I've watched this movie so many times.
Yeah.
I think this one for me was my kid rotation one. Like you said, this was just on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Did they add a scene at the end? I know they went back and they added Hayden Christensen as the Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Did they add a scene where like Gungans on Naboo are cheering? Fuck that.
And Coruscant.
God, that sucked.
Yeah.
Coruscant, whatever. I can get past that. That's Gungans?
Yeah.
There's a guy going, "We are free."
Yeah, that was one last fuck you from George Lucas.
Just disgusting.
You don't like Jar Jar? Well, here he is in Return of the Jedi.
Well, that's my thing. Like you said, he gives this to other people to direct, and then he maintains his grubby little fingers in it and comes in after the fact and changes a bunch of stuff.
That's that Patton Oswalt thing. You're like, hey, kids, you like Angelina Jolie? She give you big old boners. Well, here's John Voight's ball sack. So the Gungans were at the end. Here's John Voight's ball sack.
And Jar Jar really is like John Voight's ball sack. That's a good analogy.
Those ears.
83. I thought this was later than that. So they remastered this not maybe 15 years after?
97?
So yeah. But my review, I agree with you a lot in the review that I wrote that's going to be published tomorrow. That if this were somehow, it could be a standalone movie. Like if this was it could stand on, story wise, if it was a self-contained movie that came out in 83 and there's nothing before it, it would be like a landmark, groundbreaking movie. The special effects, the story, the music, the mythology of it, it would be like, wow, this is amazing. But it's like Return of the King, where it's like you can't help but compare it to the two movies that came before.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, that's to me the only way it really suffers. But yeah, it's an amazing technical movie to watch. All those shots. I mean, even and a lot of it's practical effects. There's no CGI, so it's like
the amount of practical effects are incredible.
And the miniatures. I mean, probably the bigatures that they used to.
And, oh God, and all the stop motion that's in this.
Yeah,
just very.
Like the AT-ST stepping on the
Ray Harryhausen-esque. Yeah. They give their mechanical things personality, which is, I don't know who did stop motion for this, but obviously they were.
Phil Tippett, I believe was the guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Who he also did the Jurassic Park and
Phil Tippett.
Tip my hat to that.
Phil Tippett my hat.
I always love stop motion animation. It's great.
And the one thing I noticed watching it this time for special effects was it's subtle, but you see a lot. I mean, rotoscoping. I don't know if you guys are familiar with rotoscoping, but it's there was for the people at home, it's the ability of the camera to maneuver with the special effects, where you see more 3-dimensional special effects shots. So the fighters going through the construction areas on the Death Star, where they pass between the construction points and stuff.
Oh, where they fly over the bigature.
Yeah.
And then they put in stuff later.
Or they'll fly through it and you can see the X-Wings through and the Millennium Falcon through the structure. You can see there's a lot going on in that shot at one time that's filmed differently, but it's all synced up together to look like one seamless shot.
Is rotoscoping also where they did the Lord of the Rings cartoon, where they did live action and then animated over it, and then so some of that's rotoscoping too. Mm-hmm. All right,
is rotoscoping where they take a camera and they kind of go through a drainage pipe or some sort of sewer line?
I mean, basically, it's like the layering of several different.
No, that's rotor rooting. Sorry,
okay.
Sorry.
That's the name.
There it is.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically like the layering of special effects onto one single shot. And there's a lot of that, you see that where it's ships flying into the Death Star and weaving through that maze.
Is it part of, what? I think it's also, or I think a zoetrope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. So, but, again, I can't separate my nostalgia out. I love all these movies. They're all a lot of fun. And I can't wait to really get all my kids into them. I'm encouraged by the fact that my 5-year-old really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the space battles. Had 1,000,001 questions about everything. So it was fun to answer those and get him into the lore. It's, step one. So we're getting there.
Last question before you wrap up.
Mhm.
What was that little creature's name that like took C-3PO apart and was pecking its eyeball? That thing freaked me out as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I don't want that thing to peck my eye out.
We'll have to look that up.
I know
okay,
his name.
Yeah, I used to.
I less need to know the name. I just needed to mention the thing that was like one of the parts that I was like, gross. There's a beaked creature that can poke your eye out and dangle out of your head. I was like,
That was like some Dark Crystal stuff.
yeah, that was
like,
weird.
Evil Fraggle Rock monster.
Evil Fraggle Rock would be a great band name.
It would be.
Ooh.
Return of the Jedi. Revenge of the Jedi. I don't mind that title, but that's just me.
Yeah. Jedi are gentle.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gentle.
Yeah, Revenge didn't fit.
Didn't suit, but
It's too sharp.
It just sounds cool.
Now, Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge of the Sith.
And
That's what you want.
and I think that was also kind of a nod to that original title.
Yeah.
Because it fits the Sith. So, if it fits, it fifth. So it's been another episode of Cinemavino. We thank you guys so much. Great movies, only drunker. T-Bud.
It's your boy.
S. Jordan.
Do they call you that?
You bud.
Nice.
I'm T-Wolf.
T-Bizzle.
T-Bizzle.
And we will see you guys
T-Wolf.
next time.
Waffle.
Bye.